All right, y'all, what's up? We are back for Love is Blind, episode 10. Episode 10. Please subscribe if you're new here. Please thumbs up the video. Please drop your comments down below. This episode, I thought the one couple that probably was going to make it down the aisle, they might have some struggles getting down there. We'll see. Alex and Tim. Last time I was on Tim's side. This time I'm fully on Alex's side, and it makes me question what actually happened in that argument they had a couple episodes ago that we didn't get to see. Because the way Tim was acting in this, I'm like, I can only imagine what was happening in the actual scene. But we'll get to that. Let's go. All right, so we get a scene with Hannah and Nick. They are getting their engagement photos done. Moving on. 12 days we got before the weddings. We get Ramses and Marissa. They are in their apartment, and you can tell they're in a weird spot, which I'm assuming is based off of the night before, whenever they was talking about like sex and stuff and contraception and having kids. And Ramses feels like her switching from 3 to 5 years to having kids sooner was different than what they had spoken upon in the pods. So seems like they're not really sticking on what it sounds like to me. It seems like he expected her to kind of stick with that 3 to 5. I don't even know, because I'm like, did we even see them talking about that in the pods? But regardless, apparently they had that conversation, and she's like, well, some people can change over time. And he says, yes, but the real important things is that he's thinking about those big important things, such as having kids. That is a big thing to think about. But like, if she did tell him that she was leaning more towards the end of the 3 to 5 years in the pods, and then gets out and says that she wants to have kids sooner, I can understand his apprehension. But if she said 3 to 5, that's 3 to 5. It could be 3 instead of the 5. So that's something that you're going to have to deal with. And that's something they should have had a conversation about. But he says, yes, but the real important things. Well, I just said that. Just said that. But she says, okay, good. And whenever she does that, you can tell she's a people pleaser. She don't want to have those tough conversations. You can tell. Like, she never really addresses what she should be addressing. And he can tell that she doesn't. And he picks up on it. But she goes inside, goes to the bathroom. He waits on her. She comes out. And instead of continuing to kind of address that kind of open space where they just kind of had that awkward moment, she then talks about what he wants for breakfast and whatever. He mentions how terrible she is at hiding how she's feeling, like I just said. And she tries to deny it and act like she's not bothered about it, but she is bothered. But she then mentions how, like, the sex and stuff. She's like, I'm sick. I have severe vitamin D deficiency. She's PMSing right now. She goes back and forth to Baltimore. Essentially, she's tired. That's just what it is. She's tired. And she doesn't feel like doing it on certain days, which makes sense. But he says that he's willing to work through that for them. And she's like, I wish I didn't have to really explain this to you. And he was like, I brought it up now because we don't really have time to really get through all these things. We got to talk about this stuff now to pretty much see if we're going to continue to do what we're trying to do in 12 days. And he says, but he doesn't want to put her in a place where she feels like she has to prove something to him or do something that she doesn't want to do. But he ends up saying, like, the physical intimacy is an important part in marriage to him. Obviously, like, he's been very upfront about that. That's one thing that I will say about Ramses. I feel like he is more upfront with the way he feels than she is. I can tell a lot of the times he wants to stay a lot more, but he can tell how timid she is and doesn't want to ruffle her feathers. But you can tell she don't want to say anything. She wants to say something but doesn't want to say it. And you can tell she really don't want to ruffle his feathers. So it's like these two, they just have to sit down and have the tough conversation. That's just really what it is. But she ends up questioning if he has any doubts. And he's saying that he's not having any doubts, but it's a big decision because once he's married, that's it. Like, he wants it to just be them two. That's it. I don't want to get married again. And he says he doesn't want to go through it with somebody else as well, but he just wants to make sure that the physical intimacy is there and it's right. And she's like, if it's not right, what you gonna do? And he says, like, in Cabo it was great, but now she's dealing with a lot, and she doesn't want to be touched sometimes. Essentially, he's very hands-on with the physical intimacy. He wants to always be on her. He wants to touch her. He wants to love on her. And he says he just wants to make sure that long term this is not the normal. Basically stating, like, I don't want you to have I don't want to later on down the line be having the same issue going on, which is like, that's what y'all gonna have to realize, and that's what you're gonna have to work out. But she ends up saying for the most part, like, she's giving him that intimacy, but sometimes it's overstimulating. I can understand that. And he sometimes says that he feels like he sometimes is rejected, because she asked him, like, do you feel rejected? And he's like, I guess sometimes. And he's like, he's overly affectionate, and sometimes he feels like she's not really reciprocating. But he clearly wants to be more actively physical. And when I say physical, like, he wants to be on her. He wants that body, like that body connection, like just that body to body contact. You know what I'm talking about. But I honestly don't know if she's gonna give it to him. I don't know if they're gonna get down the line. I feel like this is gonna spell the end for them. We'll see. But that's just what I'm feeling right now. Tim and Alex, we get their scene where she's meeting his parents. His parents seem very, very wholesome. They seem like good people. It's crazy how they both come from two really, really good families. But his mom, she's the main talker. The dad is the one that plays the field in the back. That's just kind of how my parents are. My mom is the one that's the motor mouth, and my dad's the one that's super chill. But immediately, they call Tim Drake. I'm like, who the fuck is Drake? They kept saying Drake, but they call him Drake because Tim's dad's name is Tim as well. He's Tim Sr. So his mother likes the idea, pretty much tells them that she likes the idea of the Love is Blind experience. And she says that Tim is an awesome person, and his vulnerabilities can sometimes come off as a separation type of thing. She asked if Alex has seen that in him yet, and she agreed that she had. And she ended up asking Alex how she had handled it. And she said, it's been kind of challenging, but I've learned to give him his space, and whenever he's ready to come back, I'm here. And his mom was saying like how different her and Tim's dad are, but love makes it work. And if you're willing to give and take, that's what's going to make y'all even stronger, which is true. She's been giving him a lot of sound advice throughout this entire scene. But she asked Alex if there's anything that she feels she'd be giving up. And Alex said, I don't feel like there's anything that I would be giving up besides the single life. So Alex pretty much lets them know as well. She's pretty much reassuring them, saying how serious she is about marriage, how much it was super duper important for him to actually get her father's blessing to actually continue with the marriage, going to the next step. Because she said, like, if my dad didn't give you the blessing, I couldn't see myself doing it. And that's how important it is to her. But his mom ends up talking about how much mutually respecting each other's viewpoints will keep you together, which is true. Like in a marriage, in a union, in a relationship period, like, there's certain things that you might not like that the other person might. And you got to find a compromise. This is what it is. But you got to figure out what parts of the things that you don't like are this big and this important, and which ones are not. Hannah and Nick, well, really Hannah, she could have benefited from this conversation. But Alex ends up pretty much stating the same stuff as well. She pretty much said, like, I want to have that one that's going to be dependable. He won't fold on anything. I said, is this foreshadowing? But she said, I'll never turn my back on him. And I mean that, like, for better or for worse, I mean that. Whenever I decide to say those words, I mean that. But Tim then takes his parents outside. His parents are very much like Alex's, like I said. They're sitting outside talking. Tim Sr. ends up telling him how beautiful of a person Alex is. And Tim ends up talking about, like, them bonding on deep things, and doesn't think they always, he said, we bonded a lot on the deep stuff, but I also don't think, what am I trying to say? It's been a long day, y'all. He said, but he doesn't think that they're always in sync when it comes to the lighter things, and how he's not superly physically affectionate when it comes to, like, them as a couple. Like, you could tell he's like, he says that he's not physically affectionate when it comes to actually providing that to her, which I think is a problem. I'm like, that tells me that you don't want her. Essentially, like, if you don't want to, like, really be on her like that, I don't know. That's just weird to me. But his mom ends up saying, like, when you're in a marriage, you have to be open to what hurts your partner, because there's nobody out here that's perfect. That is true. She ends up saying as well, it doesn't matter how long you've known someone, you're gonna go through some drama. Pretty much saying, like, it's not going to always be easy. You're going to get into arguments and stuff. You just got to figure your way out of that. And that's just a part of the journey. And I'm like, yeah, facts. And I always say that, like, them relationships that don't have any kind of test where you're just, like, always happy, I don't feel like those relationships are genuine. But she ends up feeling like, and that just goes beyond just romantically. I feel like friendships have tests too. Like, you're going to have arguments. You're going to have disagreements. If you're in a yes man type of relationship or friendship, I don't feel like those are genuine. Like, I don't want friends that are going to always agree with me. I don't want my partner I don't want her to always be the one to tell me everything I'm doing is right, because I know not everything I'm doing is right. Same thing, vice versa. But she feels like he's ready for marriage and a family. I don't after what we're going to get to later on, but they give him their support and whatever. I'm about to pause this because I'm about to turn this damn fan on because I'm hot. All right, so we get Ashley and Tyler. They are at the apartment. Tyler is sitting on the couch. You can tell this is still the same day. It's just later on during the day. And he's sitting on the couch. Ashley comes in and sits down with him. She's pretty much talking about their superpower with them being super communicative and communicating super well, which we all thought they did too. But she ends up telling him, like, I don't hate you. I'm just disappointed and I'm trying to navigate all of my emotions. And he ends up saying, like, he's not taking it lightly with her coming back just to talk, because she didn't have to come back, essentially. Like, she didn't have to, which I'm like, I don't know why she did, but that's actually not me. But she ends up saying it's a lot. Like, it says a lot about how I feel about you by me coming back and actually sitting here and possibly trying to make this work, because she wouldn't normally do it in any other scenario. She just needs to give herself time and know a little bit more about that dynamic that he has with those kids and the mother of those kids. So he ends up saying it was a close friend. Her and her wife wanted to have a baby and they couldn't afford a donor. And he saw that as God telling him to help somebody. While all that is nice, if that was in fact true, we're about to get into it. She asked if the kids know what he looks like. He was like, I don't think so. I said, you fucking liar. You've been all up in them pictures. I'm like, damn, he's still sitting here lying. I'm like, Ashley, you need to run. I'm like, damn, Tyler, we was rooting for you. I'm like, after last week's episode, I'm like, if he continues with being honest with her, I'm like, could she possibly give him another chance? I'm like, if he's straightforward and honest, that could be something that can make her build on it and like try to rebuild that trust, even though I don't think you can. But that would make it it's not easy, but it would make it a little bit easier to kind of rebuild that trust by you being honest now. He's still fucking lying, which makes me wonder what actually happens. But they agree to give it another try and take it hour by hour, even though she doesn't know how she really feels about this. And they start talking about how they feel. They've been together forever or whatever. That's how it feels. And Tyler's scared of it not working, essentially. I'm like, it's your fault because you're still lying. But we got 11 days to the weddings. Taylor and Garrett, they go to meet up with this calligraphy. I think that's what you say. Instructor, I think that's how you say it. Taylor ends up bringing all the love letters that her parents had wrote each other. She got the stack of them things, too. And she ends up letting the lady know about her grandparents no longer being there, and they were able to be a part of their special day, them getting engaged. So they start writing the letters. We find out that they have started writing letters to each other now, just leaving them around the house or whatever, letting them find them and whatever. So they're kind of starting that same thing that her grandparents did and kind of trying to make it a trend within them. But they pick a sentence out of those quotes that really stuck out to them, and they get to work. But Taylor ends up talking about how she's thinking about wanting to do something special for his mom. And he pretty much lets her know, like, my mom is still struggling with this. Like, I believe she'll come around, but she's still struggling with it. I'm like, foreshadow. But Hannah and Nick, they are at this summit. And it's like some obstacle course / zip lining / bungee jump type of thing. It looked cool. It's something that I would do. But they sit down and they finish and they start talking about how fun it was and how both of them took turns leading or whatever. So she ends up letting him know how his icks are now starting to become funny to her. I'm like, okay. But he's like, so you're finally starting to accept me for who I am. No, she's not. No, she's not. But we're going to keep it moving. She then ends up asking him if he's ready to get married. And he says yes, considering the fact that our families approve as well. I wanted to make sure to emphasize that. She ends up saying it's great that they do, but nobody's opinion matters more than theirs. That is also true. She is right. Yes, your parents, their support means a lot. And to some people, it would mean more. To me, yes, I want my family to support. And I feel like if my parents and my family don't support the woman that I would be with, I don't know that I would say that I'm kind of contradicting myself. But then again, it's just like, if I'm in love, I'm in love. Regardless of how you feel about it, that's what I'm going to do. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. So I get her. I get what she's saying. What she ends up saying, you didn't answer my question though. Are you ready to get married? Yes, he did. I'm like, yes, he did. And he said, yeah, I did. And he reiterates it to her and says, like, the hard question, like her hard questions that she's asked him has helped him realize what he needs to work on. She then starts talking at him again. This is that type of shit that I couldn't do it. She talks to him, and you could tell she talks to him like she genuinely believes that she is above him. And I'm glad he clocked it though. But she starts doing that, talking about how not wanting to be always the one to initiate deep conversations and initiating them having sex. And I'm like, if he ain't really initiating sex with you, that says a lot. That tells me that he ain't really feeling it with you. That's just my thought process behind it. But she then talks about how he had said that he had wanted to read in the pies. Pretty much asked him, have you read yet? And he's like, no, like maybe I could have did that last night. I could have did that last night instead of going to the game. I'm like, no, if you want to go to the game, do what you want to do. Don't just do stuff. Like, you can't lose yourself that's the thing. I see him losing himself in that marriage with Hannah. Yes, there's certain things that he needs to grow up with in terms of like just random things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Yes. But I feel like she low-key is trying to change him. Yes, reading and stuff is something that if he wants to do that, he can do that. But you don't have to stop what makes you happy on a day-to-day basis. If you want to go to a game and go kick it with your boys and watch the game, you can do that. You can always still find time to read. Like, it just doesn't, you don't have to stop yourself from doing things that you enjoy because she wants you to read. Like, what? Because I guarantee you, if he would have said something to her like that, she would have flipped out. But she then starts talking about like, oh yeah, priorities. Talking about like him putting the game over reading. Like, shut up. But he pretty much addresses how she belittles him and thinks that he's beneath her, and sometimes that just doesn't feel right to him, and he wants to be treated as an equal. This woman says, I feel you get treated like one when you contribute. I said, you are a piece of work. Because that was rude. I'm like, damn, rude. She then says as well, I mean, I don't want to be mean or to make you feel like that, but I believe at 28 years old, you should be able to do certain things. That is true. But the way she said it, I'm telling you, that's the way her delivery is awful. Every time she talks to him, it's like she's talking to him like she's his mother. Like, you don't have authority over that man. That's a grown man. Like, come on. But he ends up throwing the question back her way. She says that she's mature and she's ready. And she says she just wants to make sure that he's mature and ready for it too. They finish on that phony, fake smiling shit. That's the thing. They always finish on that like fake happy tip. Like, I don't get them. I don't see them lasting. I don't. But Marissa and Ramses, they're pretty much talking about wedding planning and everything. They start going through all of that. He then ends up asking her how she's feeling now. And she's talking about how like they figured out their connection and their affection issue. I hope they have. I don't know for sure, but I hope they have. But she ends up asking if he's had any doubts about them getting married. Again, they going to keep asking these questions as the days continue to get closer and closer to the wedding, because you got to know. And he says nothing major, just the normal planning and whatever, but no big concerns that would derail them. She's happy to hear that because she doesn't want to seem needy, even though she needs clarity all the way up until the wedding. But he pretty much says don't feel bad for wanting clarity. She then asks him again, getting more clarity. Are you sure you're ready to go down with this? And he's like, yeah, we are. And she says she feels confident as well. They exchange I love yous and then they kiss. The scene I've been dying to talk about. Y'all didn't see it on my community page. You're going to see it now. Alex and Tim. She's in the kitchen with a plate of wings and fries that look good as fuck to me. Tim comes in and sits down on the couch looking very, very bothered. Very bothered. So she's sitting at the island and the couch is like right over here and say I'm the island. So they're like, she can see him if she turns and looks over, and he can see if he looks over the couch. But he's pretty much saying, let me know when you're ready to talk. And she said, and I'm going to read this, y'all. I'm not going to be looking at y'all too much, but I'm going to read it because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But she ends up asking if he wants her to sit right there in front of him. And he says, yes. So she comes down with the plate, sits down and says, okay, so what's up? And he's sitting there slick mugging her, like mean mugging her. And he says something happened in regards to his parents that he didn't appreciate. So he then starts saying that he understands that she was sleepy and his parents had drove 10 hours up to see her. And the minute the cameras cut, she went to sleep at the first opportunity. Those are the most important people in my life. And that's all I have left in this world. And the choices she made in that moment was to go to sleep. And that's telling because that's not a choice that he would ever make. That's exactly what I said. You're tripping because she wanted to sleep. If she's tired, let her go to sleep. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is your issue. It gets even worse. But he ends up saying, and I can understand to a certain degree, but she explained a lot that made me go, yeah, I'm fully on her side, but we're going to get to it. She says, I was exhausted and I like to take naps. I'm not a napper. I wish I was. I've never been a napper, even when I was in school. But taking naps throughout the day, you need rest. We as individuals and human beings, grown adults, we don't get enough sleep. So her taking a nap, I would rather her take a nap because if she's tired, she could become very, very bitchy and have a nasty attitude. Would you rather her have a nasty attitude because she's tired, or would you rather her go get some sleep and then get up refreshed and be able to be there and entertain your parents? That's the way I would think about it. But she says that she had talked to them, talking about his parents. We had talked for hours about what I would be to them and whatever. And if it really meant that to him, she would have stayed up. Pretty much saying, like, if you would have told me, I would have stayed up. I'm tired, but I would have stayed up if you would have told me that it would have meant this much to you. But he then claims that he was trying to speak to her all day, and she cuts him off and says, like, I texted you 3 times yesterday. And he says, yeah, but you would sleep for most of the day. She said, I would sleep for an hour. And I believe her. I do. He then says that she wasn't very responsive in the text yesterday either. And she says, like, she doesn't appreciate him not telling the truth, essentially. And he then, because she pretty much denied, stopped saying that I wasn't really responsive. But he then says, he asked her if she would allow, he gets passive aggressive. Because, I mean, she was butting in, but like, your reasoning is bullshit to me. I would be like, what? But he ends up asking if she would allow him to tell his truth and asked her if I can speak. Like, I allowed you to speak. Can you let me speak? You really didn't allow her to speak in that moment, but whatever. But he then says that her response to her getting her car was essentially dry. That's pretty much what he was saying. And that was the only conversation that they had that day. She said, but you were working. And she's like, I'm confused. And he ends up saying that he's trying to explain, would you let me explain? So she was pretty much answering the statements that he was making as he was making statements. But he's taking so long to get the statements out. Just get it out. But he ends up trying to explain again. He's got that passive aggressive energy. He ends up saying that she wanted to talk to him on her time. And if he hadn't talked to her all day, she doesn't know that she doesn't get to dictate when they talk on the phone, essentially. So it's petty shit. Like, I'm like, this is a petty reason to be this upset. But she ends up saying when she went to work, she was interacting with people all day, which I know that firsthand. I do the same stuff. Like, I'm not customer facing, but I deal with people all day long. I talk all day long. When I get off, apart from me doing what I'm doing, that's why I'm struggling to get through this, because I've literally talked all day. But like my parents and stuff, they sometimes get upset with me too, because I don't be calling them all the time because I just don't want to talk. Like, I've been talking all day, I'm tired. So I understand where she's coming from. That's why I'm fully on her side. But she's pretty much stating, like, I let you know what was going on during the day, and I communicated that to you. She said, I didn't respond to your make sure your tires are good. I read it. And if you don't communicate that bothered you, how am I supposed to know? Where's the lie? She ends up saying, like, when he called, she was asleep because she had been running around all day. She then says that she took a nap. She then called him, and he didn't want to talk on the phone. She then says that she expressed to him that she liked to talk on the phone, and she wanted to do that to explain that that's what she likes. And just as he could have literally explained to her that he didn't like her falling asleep while her parents were there. That is true. You can literally address those issues that you have, regardless if they're big or little, which I think this whole situation is stupid and little. It bothered him. Why didn't you address it? Why didn't you bring it to her attention? But she ends up saying that he has to communicate, and she's ready to listen and understand, just like when she called him. But he said that he doesn't want to talk to her because she doesn't listen. So she ends up saying that you have to admit it's not the same as when we were in the pods. We all have said that. Everybody's watched the show has said that. And she says, it's not just on you, it's on me as well. But these are little things, and I'm trying my hardest. He then says, after reflecting on everything on what he wants in a wife and what he wants and whatever. He has to be honest with himself, and the answer is between the two of them being together is no. She says, okay. And he's sitting there staring at her. And she says, if your mind is made up, I got many words on what you're saying. And he says he's here to listen. She asked him, are you here to understand? Are you here to be open-minded about it? And he says, I'm here to understand. And she asked him if your mind is made up, which I'm glad she did, because like I understand, like, do I even need to waste my breath if I don't even have a chance to even potentially sway you from not trying to end this? And he says, yeah, that's what I said. I said my mind is made up. I mean, no. I'm like, over her sleeping. She says, all right, cool. She said, I told you that I'd take this to the end, pretty much talking about their marriage. And I didn't take you to meet my father, getting him emotional lightly. And she says, how dare you throw that away after 2 days? We found out that it was literally 2 days before. 2 days before this, he was meeting her family. And they had that emotional moment, had me teary-eyed, had all of us teary-eyed. And I'm like, this is how you end it? But he ends up saying that he feels that she doesn't say the things that he tried to do. And she asks him, like, what? He says, am I going to get to speak? I'm like, you are literally, he was literally getting her, he was passive aggressively, the way women get on here and say men be sassy, that's what that was giving. That's what that was giving. But he ends up saying how he wants him to, how she be wanting him to cuddle her. And he tried to do it in that tiny ass bed and she didn't even notice it. She said, but I was asleep. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, this whole situation is stupid. But he ends up saying, like, I don't think you realize how much work I put into doing that. I was like, into doing that? Like, that's what you talk about? It took you that much work to just cuddle her? I'm like, but then he explains what he really meant. He was talking about, like, going and getting the family food, cooking the food, and then coming back and did all that cooking and then seeing dishes in the sink, and he had to do the dishes. I'm like, so you was mad about all this other stuff and now you decided to make it about the sleeping. I'm like, there's so many things that you could have communicated to her. Yeah, I mean, that is aggravating. It could be aggravating. Like, I'm doing all this work and the least you could do is wash those dishes. But why didn't you address it? Like, why didn't you address it? You want to address it now after you got your mind made up. Why didn't you address it to her? But then he says, like, if I feel like I have to address it to you, you're not the person for me. That goes back to what his mother said. Not everybody is perfect. Yes, it would be nice for her to do that. But sometimes bring it up to her, and maybe now that she knows that shit bothers you, maybe she'll make a conscious effort to continue to do that if you're continuing to do all of the cooking and stuff. But she was like, essentially, that's a slap in my face. Like, don't spend that shit on me. Like, you've given me nothing but temper tantrums. He's sitting there screw facing her. And she said, it's like a slap in the face. And he ends up saying, I'm glad, this right here. He said, I'm glad that you feel that way. There's no scenario where I see myself stating yes to marrying you. And I'm glad that we both agreed I never want to see you again. I said, over some dishes and sleep? You never liked her to begin with. Like, you might not be physically intimate and physically affectionate, but this right here lets me know that you didn't like her to begin with. Like, you just wanted to trauma dump on her. I was fully on her side. But he gets up and says, this is nice. I wish you the best of luck. And she sticks that fry in her mouth and says, wow. I said, yeah, eat that food. Don't let him fuck up your appetite because that food look good. But he ends up leaving. 10 days into the wedding, the couples are getting ready for this costume party. Taylor and Garrett, they'll be meeting her parents the next day. We shall see if that happens. Hannah and Nick, they're getting ready. Nick is talking about some people might want closure. She asks him, is there anybody you want closure with? And he says, maybe Katie, because she was the only other person that I really had a connection with and was his number one at the time. And he was interested in her, and it just kind of ended. And he said, like, I don't really need the closure, but a simple conversation is cool. He asked her, and she says, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't need no closure. I made my decision. I said, okay. Okay. I bet you if Leo was there, she would have been over there trying to talk and hear what he had to say. Because you already know she got cold feet when it comes to Nick. But they get to the party. Everybody's arriving. Everybody looks good. Everybody looks like the Gatsby movie. Taylor and Garrett, the boring couple, decided to give us some drama, which is not good for them, but it's entertainment for us. Taylor and Garrett, they're outside before they walk in. she's addressing how she wants to make it clear that if other women are talking to you, you need to say that you're engaged and shut that shit down. He says easy. And she ends up saying, like, don't leave them on red or like something. Pretty much, if you leave them on red, you're reading the message and letting it be known that you read it or whatever. And if you like the message, it kind of sends a signal of like, okay, this could mean something. She basically saying, like, shut it down. If you're going to open the message, pretty much say, like, nah, I'm engaged. That's just it. I ain't got nothing for you. Don't talk to me. So he ends up apologizing, saying that he saw it this morning because apparently he did like a message. Well, he did more than that. I'm just reading it in order. But said he didn't know how to react, so he liked the message and didn't think about it anymore because she didn't mean anything to him. That's what he said. So she ends up saying, but think about how it would make me feel as somebody who's been cheated on, and I'm trying to put trust in you. And he says, he's 100% there. I'm 100%. He's pretty much just sitting there reassuring her that he is 100% there for her. So she ends up saying, like, we've had all day to talk about this. Apparently, he brought this up an hour before they got there, which lets me know that you're scrambling because you're probably scared somebody's going to show up that you might have been talking to. That's what I'm thinking. So he says he didn't think about it. And she said, that's what kind of scares me. She's pissed off. And he says that they have an amazing future ahead of them. And he just needs patience and understanding. She says, you're going to get it. But I've only had 1 hour to really process this. And now we got to go in here and act like we all good. And he says that it kills him seeing her upset. So they go ahead and go on in. Everybody's mingling. Tim comes in walking solo, as does Alex. The boys are sitting around talking. The girls are as well. Alex ends up telling the girls pretty much about what happened with her and Tim. And she's saying, like, I'm not mad at him wanting to end things, but he's a coward for shaking my dad's hand, saying that he wanted to marry me and then doing this 2 days later. Ashley then brings up the Tyler sperm donor shit. She's talking about all the things that he's done for her and fights for her, which is why she's, like, essentially trying to give it a second chance. I'm like, Ashley. But Monica, she ends up walking in. We find out that her and Steven had talked on the phone for 2 hours. And they're in a good place, but she don't want to be with him. I said, you better than me. Because what more do you... I want to know what was in them text messages. That's what I want to know. But everybody else is mingling and stuff. Bowden ends up coming in. He comes to the girls and hugs Marissa. She says it's interesting seeing him for the first time, hearing his voice, what felt very familiar to her, obviously. Katie then arrives, who we really didn't get to see much of her at all. So I was just like... But I remember her from being 35 saying that she was chasing, when I read her bios, saying that she was always chasing men around. So I'm like, that tells me about you. But her and Hannah, they bear hug. Apparently, they're really, really close. She's calling her bestie and whatever. And Hannah ends up asking Katie, which I'm assuming she knows that Katie was the one. Well, yeah, she does because he said it. Katie was the one that Nick was interested in. So she takes him over there to go meet him. I was like, or she takes her over there to go meet him. And I was shocked. I'm like, okay, that's not a Hannah move. But Hannah was Hannah later on. But Nick and Katie, they meet. She's clearly attracted to him. She ends up telling Hannah how good looking he is in person. And Hannah's already looking bothered. She quickly started looking bothered. But Ashley, Tyler, Garrett, and Taylor, they're sitting together having a conversation. Garrett ends up talking about how his ex had texted him. And he says, I responded or I liked. I said, you did what? You responded. So you lied. And he tried to cover it up. And Tyler said, so did you respond? He said, no, I just liked it. It finally clicked in Taylor's brain. Because I'm like, Taylor, did you hear that? She said, but you said you responded. And he ends up trying to play it off like he didn't do it, trying to play damage control. She then asks to see his phone. And he says it's over there. And he tries to act like he was going to go get it. And he says, can I go get it later? I said, oh, so you can go delete that message. Garrett, you fooled us because you ain't no better than nobody else on this show. But he ends up saying that he told her that he had met somebody, he's engaged, they shouldn't continue texting, and he wishes her well. Taylor clocks it about him not being consistent with his story because he had told her outside that he only liked the message and did not respond. He sat here in front of them and told them the truth because he didn't mean to say it, but he said it and then tried to cover it up. But Taylor clocked it. But she ends up saying that you didn't say it an hour ago, and Tyler and Ashley are sitting there looking like, what the fuck is going on? And Tyler ends up saying, like, me and Ashley can go and let y'all have y'all space. Taylor says, no, I need my space. She gets up. Ashley goes to comfort her. She's talking about how weird it is and stuff. She's crying to Ashley, saying how he's literally going to meet my parents tomorrow. Ashley's sitting there saying, like, omitting something is lying, and we don't have time to be playing these games. I said, Ashley, take your own advice. because Tyler is still omitting shit from you. But Bowden and Marissa and Ramses, they're all having these awkward moments where they're laughing and stuff about them all dealing with each other essentially. But Marissa ends up saying like seeing Bowden in person reaffirms her choice that she chose for Ramses because essentially her and Bowden are more like best friends than anything. But Katie, she's still telling Hannah and the girls how hot she thinks Nick is, how cute he is. And you can tell Hannah is gradually getting more and more uncomfortable. Ashley then asks about her and Nick because Hannah is sitting there. She then turns to talk to Ashley. Hannah was cracking me up in this moment. I'm going to get to it though. But she ends up talking about how like she's overcritical of Nick just like she is on herself. Ashley then says that he has things to work on, but I want him to see the fun Hannah, aka like you need to lighten up. Lighten up. And she says that she feels like she could be the best thing for Nick because there's so many things that she can show him. Ashley's pretty much co-signing everything. Hannah ends up saying even sexually. This is the part that made me cackle. She ends up saying like he'll get his nut off and basically let her sit there and not get her pleasure either. So she talks about how she explained to him what turns her on and he still doesn't do it. And it becomes frustrating because she's pleasuring him, but she's not getting pleasured. I understand that. I understand where she's coming from. I understand why she's mad. But then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, maybe he just don't see it for you like that. Maybe he wants you to get him off, but he don't. Maybe he's not. Maybe your thing ain't doing it for him. But she ends up saying, like, people that she's had sex with. She said, I ain't really had sex with too many people, but the people that I have, we've explored things. And Nick, she pretty much said Nick is essentially like an 18-year-old because he don't eat he don't eat the cat. But the way she was saying it was cracking me up because she's so blunt. Like she's so blunt. But Ashley's reaction, she went down when she said that. I started laughing. But it's just the way she kept saying, she's like, he don't eat pussy. I was like, she is crazy. She just airing him out. I'm like, why you gotta say this on TV? But she ends up saying like it could hurt his ego if she addressed it. But she has to be very careful with the way that she approaches it. She said like I really, really love him, but it's frustrating because he's not on the same level of understanding as I am. And she doesn't feel like he'll have a chance to get there. I said, what? I said like he's more understanding than you are. But then I'm like, if you talking about sexually, I guess. Because if he's getting his off and not getting you off, that's going to be a problem. But we then get to Katie and Nick. They're having a conversation. It starts off very flirty. Nick was flirting. I was like, okay, Nick, don't let Hannah see this. Hannah and Monica sitting over there watching it. And Hannah's noticing how Katie's been talking about how attractive Nick is. And she's like, you supposed to be my best friend. You ain't supposed to be doing that shit. Monica ends up pretty much letting her know she's been saying that shit to us too. But Katie is sitting over there talking to Nick, talking about he essentially is like the type that she normally goes for. But she's like, that's why I'm 35 and single. You're 35 and single because you chase men. You're supposed to let the men chase you. But Nick ends up pretty much letting her know that he was feeling her. He's high-key flirting with her. I'm like, Nick, you better slow down. You better calm down. But they continue. Somebody continues. I wrote continues. I don't know who I was talking about. He continues to tell her that he was attracted to her from day one. They both talk about how they got each other goosebumps. They talk about being each other's number ones, whatever. So they're doing all this at first, and then the conversation then turns because he starts to tell her that she's amazing, she's going to make somebody happy. And he talks about how beautiful she is, how beautiful her Instagram was. I'm like, oh, so you was out here snooping. I said, uh-oh, Hannah ain't going to like that. But they started talking about how she was the one that dropped him, which says a lot because of the way he's so flirtatious with her lets me know that if she didn't drop him, it would have been interesting to see if he would have actually chose her. Something about this lets me know and makes me think that he probably would have. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all thought about that. But she talks about how like he's super smooth talking. The way he was talking, she kind of felt like when she was talking to him, he would say how sexy she was or whatever. And she felt like he was not genuinely listening to what she was saying. And she ends up saying like you lead too much with your charisma because Nick got that swag to him. Nick got game. But she's like, kind of dial that back and kind of show off your deepness as well, because it's pretty clear that you do have a deep part of your being to where you can actually get there, which essentially is what Hannah's talking about, how she feels like she wants to get out of him. But she ends up telling him some real shit essentially, but it low-key sounded like a mother talking to her son. But we finish it off with Taylor and Garrett. She pissed the fuck off because he done lied to her again. which he did. He's sitting there playing dumbfounded, saying that he didn't lie, which you did. Like, come on. But she then highlights how he had told her that he just liked it, but sat in front of other people and said that he had responded. So he did lie to her. And she ends up bringing up the conversation that they had earlier where he pretty much said, I only liked it. I didn't do nothing else because it didn't mean anything to me. And he ends up saying that he didn't pause to tell her. And she's like, yeah, because you only said that you liked it. But they start going back and forth. She says the fact that your story changed in front of other people is upsetting to me. He then tries to tell her that there's no difference between liking it and actually responding. I said, if that was the case, then why didn't you tell her that you responded? You didn't tell her that you responded because you probably said something that you didn't want her to see, and she probably would have asked you to see what you said. But you didn't want her to see it. That's why you said you liked it. Garrett, you showed your ass this episode. But he ends up saying essentially like the fact of the matter is I should have told you. He's trying to take accountability at this point. She says, yeah, now she's crying. And he pretty much says like, yeah, I should have told you this morning. I made a huge mistake. Mess. I am so tired, y'all. I'm so tired. And I'm so sorry this was all over the place. But I'm going to try and get episode 11 out tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. So I'm going to get episode 11 out tomorrow. I'm going to do the challenge tomorrow too because I cannot do it tonight. But please thumbs up the video if you thugged it through this one. I done gave y'all 2 shitty reviews this season. But if you thug it through and hit that like button, you a real one. Drop y'all's comments on what y'all thought about the episode so far. Only episode 10. Drop it down there. I'm going to watch episode 11 tomorrow. And I'll see y'all then. Peace.